Understanding blood-borne pathogens is important for everyone, but especially for workers who may come in contact with human blood and bodily fluids. OSHA enforces regulations which are outlined in the blood-borne pathogen standards to help protect workers from any such exposure.
Let's first learn what blood-borne pathogens are. They are substances found in blood or other bodily fluids that can cause infection or disease. These substances include hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, and human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, which may lead to AIDS. Key elements in the blood-borne pathogen standard require that workers be trained and knowledgeable about blood-borne diseases and how they're spread, an exposure control plan, engineering and work practice controls, personal protective equipment, hepatitis B vaccinations, responding to emergencies involving blood, and biohazard warning labels and signs that warn of potential hazards. You can help reduce your own risk of exposure by taking simple and easy precautions. If you are in a job where you might come in contact with blood or exposure to blood after a first aid incident, be ready to follow all recommended procedures. It starts with wearing proper personal protective equipment. Be alert and pay attention to engineering controls. For example, wear gloves when handling sharp objects or cleaning up a fresh or dried blood spill. Dispose of trash properly using the right methods. Finally, if exposure does occur, wash your hands immediately and promptly report the incident to your supervisor. There are many things you can do to minimize your risk of exposure while on the job. For a more thorough discussion of recognizing potential hazards and using safety controls, review your Janny King Safety Manual.
Other hazardous fluids you must pay attention to are hazardous chemicals. At least 25% of workers come in contact with hazardous chemicals on the job. So how can you work safely with chemicals?
OSHA's regulation to help control chemical exposures while at work is called the Hazard Communication Standard. Many know it as HAZCOM, or the Right to Know Law. They all refer to your right to know what chemicals you work with or are around during your day-to-day job. Written materials, called Safety Data Sheets, or SDS, are the best way to learn about the known facts and methods of protection for each chemical. SDSs contain information for both technical and non-technical workers. The SDS is written in 8 sections to make it easy for you to find the information you need. Technical data is in sections 1 through 5. These sections provide information on chemical identity, hazardous ingredients, physical and health hazards, chemical reactivity, and environmental compliance regulations. Sections 6 through 8 give you useful information on exposures and emergency first aid, personal protective equipment and safe handling, and finally, health hazard information on how a chemical might enter your body and what effects it might cause. One of the surest ways to protect yourself from the risk of a chemical exposure is to pay attention to labels. Makers of hazardous chemicals are required to put all necessary warnings and identifying information on the container. Likewise, when you're using chemicals from your own bottles or containers, make sure you label them properly so you and others know how to correctly handle it.
Be alert to any new signs or labels in or around your workplace. They might just be the communication you need to work and stay safe. And always remember, it's your right to know about hazardous chemicals. So never be afraid to ask for more information.